Also coming to BJP, how do you think BJP is different as a government than the previous government?
So BJP focus primarily on development, and again we are in the 21st century. We are in this sort of like a transitional phase today where India now is, everyone is looking at India as a global superpower. India has carved a massive niche for itself. Like no matter in which country you go to, India is, spoken of, referred to, respected, and everyone is very very keen in terms of even investing now in India. I personally feel that all of these factors are primarily responsible because of the utmost important factor, that is our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. I think it is his vision, his manifestation, and his conviction that today India is no longer just a developing country, just a country which, oh, maybe 20 years later or 30 years later can become a superpower. We are almost there. Like today we are honestly speaking with the Russian president, and we are sort of trying to balance out the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Today we hosted successfully the G20 summit, which has been massive. I mean, today like 2 weeks ago we also signed the free trade agreement, which was in negotiation for 16 years, and this is something which has been phenomenal. So now a lot of companies from Europe can invest heavily in India. And having said all of it, we are only and only heading towards a much better and a much evolved India.
You must be knowing a lot of people from, where you studied. Suppose you
Yes.
studied in the US, they must be your friends. So, how did you see this whole transition from when you studied till today? How has their thought process or their way of looking at us changed?
Honestly, when I was living there and when we used to say India, they only sort of referred to us like they thought India is like a smaller country, and India, they didn't get into the nitty gritties of it. They maybe just knew Mumbai and Delhi. But now that we are on a global spectrum, and the way we are spoken of, and our Prime Minister is being invited to the US 4 times, and with all the two prime ministers, presidents the US has had, he shares such a great rapport with them. He goes to Madison Square Garden and he speaks. He at G20, when he's so successfully hosting it, and he's expressing his views, where he's getting the best of the all the presidents of the G20 countries, the prime ministers, to India. So I feel this sort of does send out a very strong message, and they know that India is honestly has upped its game, and how, and everyone really is looking at India from a very different lens, which is, I mean, being an Indian, I feel really really proud.
So, social media, basically, when we were talking so much about social media, but it has got in benefited for all of you, because if you see Modi ji, he started off with social media. He brought it with such a big bang that everybody knew about him and everybody wanted to know more about him. So, other than that, what do you think? How else could you do the work if it was not only social media?
So the prima facie and the most important thing in politics or in social life is connect. And that connect, especially because from the area I come from, which is a rural belt, and a lot of India, a major part of India, of course, is still very rural. The most important thing is the human factor, which is connect. Because for us, when we are working on the ground, it's about being there for all the weddings, being there for all the good and the bad moments in our people's lives, physically being present in all the functions and all the events and all of those factors. So whatever, social media of course is amazing, but what a one-on-one connect or a personal connect and or a presence, what that can do, social media can't.
The transformation that, obviously when we do these good things, election campaign में कुछ तो impact पड़ता होगा.
Of course.
So how is it actually helping you there?
Helping meaning the work vis-a-vis the campaigning bit?
Yes.
Or so that's of course like a different ball game altogether. So now we're approaching into the whole election year. The code of conduct is on. Voting is, I think, in 3 weeks from now is when the first phase of voting for Lok Sabha starts. I feel for a party like BJP, and I would like to speak for the party like BJP because I'm the youth president for Pune district for the party. I feel the party has, or like our prime minister and the whole government in the center and in the state, has done so much work for the development. Now, if I have to speak of the work, or the I would rather highlight the most impactful work that they've done, which is infrastructure. You speak of the roads, the railways, the highways. It's India has seen the massive amount of transformation which probably was not even thought of 50 years ago.
Right.
Today you see the highways with Mr. Gadkari's initiatives in it. It's transformed, and it's not just for Maharashtra or Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh. Right from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all the highways and the quality of the highways is absolutely exceptional. Then when we see an Atal Setu, it's again been like an absolute transformation for people who are living in Mumbai and who wish to go to Navi Mumbai, Pune, or that part of the area. Then we speak of the coastal road, which is such a relief for us people in also living in Mumbai. So all of these, these are just several projects which sort of have had a personal impact on us. So that's when I highlight. The other important factor is, of course, the Vande Bharat. Now, with sort of adapting to the Japanese technology and to having such a transformation, like today when I have to go to Indapur from Mumbai, it takes me 5.5 hours, and it's a seamless journey. You can sit in the train, you can work, and you're literally there in 5 hours, vis-a-vis traveling by road, which sometimes because of the whole traffic situation might take a little longer. So all these aspects sort of bringing in ease into the whole infrastructural segment, and the work that I think the BJP has so successfully done has been phenomenal. So that's why I feel that when it comes to political campaigning, the work has been discussed and spoken about so much that right now they don't really need to go very hard out and about, even if I think through social media and through a couple of rallies, and they're good.
So that means we've already hit the BJP has already hit the bell button for winning.
100%. There are no doubts about it. Now the only question is the numbers. I feel BJP is going to win with a stomping majority, and like Prime Minister Modi ji said, ki abki baar 400 par. So that is what we are heading at, and that is what we all Karyakartas of BJP are working for.
Okay, tell me, other than that, nepotism, what kind of a role does nepotism play in this whole journey of being a politician?
So again, a very interesting topic. So nepotism, it goes two ways. So one way to look at it is the fact that those who come from political families or families who work in the public life have it a little bit more easier compared to the others. Second way to look at it is, of course, when you come from an influential family or a family who's had a significant impact in society, the shoes are also very large to fill. So it goes both ways. But having said that, the Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't function. It doesn't it doesn't advocate nepotism or parivarvad for that matter. Whatever it is in this party is as per your merit. So today, if an XYZ person has to contest from a constituency for a Lok Sabha or for a Vidhan Sabha, it is purely and purely on the survey reports, and the survey reports is purely and purely on the ground level work that is done. Only if you are you've done significant amount of work on the ground, you have the merit by your side, the people down there are really sort of attached to you and are fond of you, only then that report sort of goes up, and only then based on merit is when the ticket is given, or based on merit when XYZ post is given. So it's absolutely based on merit. So BJP doesn't really support nepotism or parivarvad. It doesn't get into all of that.
But it's a very big achievement, because all these years that we have seen, it has always been legacy. बच्चा अब ये सीट ले लेगा.
बच्चे कैसे होता है ना कि जस्ट बिकॉज आप वो फैमिली में बॉर्न हो, उसकी वजह से आपको वो सीट मिलनी चाहिए, ये बहुत गलत बात है. क्योंकि कभी कभार ऐसे होता है कि आपका इंटरेस्ट भी चाहिए, और ये फील्ड ऐसे है कि आप आपका इंटरेस्ट फेक नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि ये 24 आवर्स जॉब है. आपको लोगों में रहना पड़ता है, लोगों की समस्या जाननी पड़ती है. यू हैव टू एड्रेस actual real problems, and it's a very very serious job. So unless and until you're in it completely, you can't go ahead with it. You might stretch it for 1 or 2 years, but then beyond that you can't take it. So unless and until, that's why the legacy, you might have seen, legacy politics is changing. Not because you are so and so son or daughter you will get that post. Only and only if you have your skin in the game, only and only if you have your interest and you are passionate about it. I think being passionate also, for today's youth is very important. Unless and until you enjoy it, you won't be able to do justice to that job. So sugarcane is a huge setup. Of course, the industries. So currently, I mean, we have employed in all our organization, the Sugar Factory Institute, Milk Federation, around 5,000 plus employees. They work for us, and that is again, I mean, it's been going on since my grandfather, then my father expanded it, and now we are the next generation who are also sort of responsible to taking it to the next level. We are also working on expansions on the ethanols. Ethanol is another major product that we are manufacturing, because now that's I think would require another podcast altogether.
No, but can you just brief us a little about ethanol, because ethanol now exactly has been quite trending.
Yes.
So
again, all the credit goes to our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi's vision and Mr. Gadkari's vision as well, because owing to the pollution levels in our country, which are detrimental to our health, and now that ethanol is, there's a lot of R&D that happened. There was a global biofuel alliance that was signed with Brazil during the G20 summit, which was a monumental move that happened. Today we are blending ethanol at around 11%. Our Prime Minister's goal is to blend ethanol at around 30% in the next 3 years. So they have given several incentives, several remuneration schemes to a lot of these sugar factories and to these ethanol units. So then they have expanded. So a lot of sugar cane. So today, of course, we are meeting with the domestic consumption of the sugar in the country, but vis-a-vis whatever surplus that we are producing, instead of sugar, now we are of course producing a lot of ethanol. And tomorrow, to sort of explain it a little more simply, ethanol is the next fuel, because
Right.
petrol and diesel are sort of fuels that are at some point going to be extinct. So we have to look at alternative options, and ethanol is a very, very viable green fuel that we've come up with. And I think the Indian economy, the Indian infrastructure has sort of adapted it very well. And there's a lot of R&D also going on in the automobile sector. SIAM is a major institute who does a lot of these research and development in the whole segment. So I feel in the next coming years, Mr. Gadkari has his own EV vehicle. In the next coming years, I think both you and I will be driving
EV vehicles.
EV vehicles, or vehicles that are run completely on ethanol.